The Indians sit at 60-60, 6 out in the AL Central with 42 games to go. Believe it or not, that is just 4 games behind last season's pace, when a 28-16 finish earned the Tribe a spot in the wild card game. The next 12 feature 9 against teams below 500, but Buck Showalter's Orioles are not one of them, and they bring baseball's most powerful offense to Cleveland. Next on Sports Time Ohio. From Progressive Field in downtown Cleveland, the Indians continue the homestand tonight as the Baltimore Orioles come to town for a 3-game weekend series. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Baltimore, best in the American League East. They bring the league's best road record into Cleveland, where the Indians are among the top teams when playing at home this year in the AL.
Well, when you look at Baltimore on the road, 35-24, they've won 8 out of their last 11. They're averaging 1 more run a game on the road than they are at home, and it's funny because they have the small ballpark at home. But with runners in scoring position, getting timely hitting, and you look at the Indians at home, we know how good they've been this year. They're third in the league, averaging 4.4 runs. Both teams have very good bullpens. Both teams have managers that are not afraid to go to those bullpens and match up.
And Baltimore has the big bats. They can hit the long ball with the best of them. The Indians and the Orioles getting ready to kick it off here tonight. 3-game weekend series about to get underway. And we'll be back with the play-by-play action coming up next. McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's, get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. Another fall-like evening here in downtown Cleveland. Indians and Orioles opening up the 3-game series tonight. Our game time temperature will be 68 degrees. And yes, It is August 15th, not October 15th. Corey Kluber on the hill for the Tribe. Let's take a look at the lineup he will face for Buck Showalter's Orioles tonight, brought to you by Toyota. Nick Markakis in the leadoff spot, followed by Chris Davis. Then it's Adam Jones, followed by Nelson Cruz, who's having a monster year. Delman Young bats fifth, J.J. Hardy sixth. Ryan Flaherty, Caleb Joseph, and Jonathan Scope round it out.
Our GMC starting pitcher, Corey Kluber, on the mound for the Indians. He is 13-6. Those 13 wins are tied for second in the league. His .246 ERA is third in the league. He has 187 strikeouts. That is fourth in the league. He is having that kind of a year. He has pitched against Baltimore once this year, and he shut them down. 7 innings, 5 hits, 0 runs. The Indians won that game 9-0. They will get their look at Kluber now in Cleveland. We'll see if they have anything better to offer. Let's check out the defense behind them. The key of defense for the Indians looks like this. Rayburn in left, Brantley in center, Holt is in right. Aviles at third, Ramirez at short, Kipnis is at second, Santana at first, Yan Gomes doing the catching.
The umpires tonight, Dana Demuth, the crew chief, will call the balls and strikes. Ron Culpa at first, Ed Hickox at second, Lance Barrett down at third. Buck Showalter talking to Manny Machado. Machado on the disabled list after he twisted his right knee. It was the left knee he injured a year ago and came back from that, but the right knee didn't show any structural damage when they did the MRI and all the tests, but precautionary-wise, they put him on the DL, so they'll be shorthanded for a couple of weeks. In fact, former Indian Cord Phelps was called up to Baltimore. He's on their roster. Pitch outside to Nick Markakis, and we're underway. Markakis batting .293 on the year. Recently picked up his 1,500th career hit. And Kluber pounds the inside corner for a strike.
Corey Kluber this year at home, 7-2, ERA of .256.
A little bit low. Two balls and a strike.
You know, we've talked about it before. Anything with Kluber is good. His last 5 starts, 4-0 and a .68 ERA. There you go. The second half, he has been brilliant. That's the lowest ERA of anybody.
There's a high fly ball, right field. Back is Tyler Holt, still going back. At the wall, makes the catch, crashing into the fence, and hangs on for out number 1. Really not a big wind or much of a breeze to speak of tonight, but that ball just kept carrying.
Well, what he did, he ended up drifting on the baseball. You see how he kept going back and going back. He never picked out that spot, and I guarantee he got lost where he was on the field. If you can, get back to that spot and make your adjustment, but he had to battle to hang on and get that out. He was a step away, but, boy, that was a major league pop-up.
You saw Michael Brantley coming over to talk with Holt at the conclusion. Now Chris Davis, big power hitter, takes a strike. Davis only hitting a .196, but he has homered 21 times, driving in 57. Not your typical number 2 hole hitter.
Well, this is a guy that loves, after his 50 home run season, loves the ball away. You can see at this point in time, he had 44 homers and 112 RBIs, and he was hitting .300. Much different. Not to say 21 homers is not good. But this guy loves the ball away, can extend the arms. You have to try and pitch him in.
So did teams simply go to school on him, study the video, find his weaknesses, and simply expose him?
That's part of it. No, and you can go through your own problems, mechanical adjustments. You know, maybe trying to hit home runs and hold up to that 50 home run season. That could be a once-in-a-lifetime deal. And maybe trying to do too much.
Struck him out looking with a good fastball. 2 down. Our keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Just sit back and enjoy Corey Kluber, the way he goes about his business.
No doubt about that.
And support your ace, both on offense and, more importantly, defense. Here is Adam Jones. Sporting some fancy high socks tonight. .287 average with 23 dingers, 75 runs batted in. He goes after that first pitch and fouls it back.
Now, this is the guy for Baltimore day in and day out. He's about as steady as you can get. Middle part of the lineup, 23 homers, 75 RBIs, plays an outstanding center field. He's both good for him on the field and off.
Kluber into the windup. And up and away with it, 1-1. Breaking ball backed up, missed inside with it. Indians and Orioles split 4 games earlier this year in Baltimore. High pop back out of play. This has not been a good place for Baltimore to come since it opened in Cleveland. The Orioles are 24-53 all time here at Progressive Field.
You know, for whatever reason, Baltimore is one of the 2 cities that we always seem to play 4 games in. There and also Boston every year.
Yeah, you're right.
This year we made the trip to Baltimore, and it was a lot of times we go there very hot and humid. It was even cool there this year when we went to Baltimore.
Fastball down and in, and he swung over the top. Kluber strikes out a pair. Gets some help from his defense to start the inning, and we are scoreless as the Indians are coming to bat. The hot dog heads are here.
Well, dollar dog night. Got to go for it.
Indians starting lineup brought to you by Progressive. Jason Kipnis in the leadoff spot, followed by Michael Brantley tearing it up here in August, as he has all season long. Carlos Santana, Yan Gomes, Ryan Rayburn in the middle. Zach Walters, Tyler Holt, and Jose Ramirez rounded out.
GMC starting pitcher is Wei-Yin Chen, making his 23rd start this year, his 11th on the road. His third career start against the Indians, but his very first here in Cleveland. He is 0-1 on a .762 against them this year. So, I mean, in his career. So he has pitched well. He will give up the long ball. Let's check out the defense behind him. Looks like this. Cruz is in left, Jones in center, Markakis in right, Flaherty at third, Hardy at short, Scope is at second, Davis is at first, Joseph behind the plate. That is brought to you by Kia.
Jason Kipnis in to lead it off. And a first pitch foul out of play.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of fastballs. Chen throws that fastball up in the zone, tries to get the strikeout. He's given up 19 home runs, that's why. But pretty good job. Only 14 have been solo shots. And 11 of those 19 have come to the leadoff batter in an inning.
In tight. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two years ago, in his first season with the Orioles, Chen won a dozen games, so he's equaled that already this year. Last year, just 7-7. He was down for a chunk of the season with a right oblique strain. Still managed 23 starts, though.
Yeah, the only Baltimore pitcher to make at least 20 starts in the last 3 seasons.
Swing and a miss. Kipnis strikes out, 1 down. Back from vacation, fresh and ready to go. Let's go downstairs to Katie Witham, who has more on Wei-Yin Chen.
Well, Matt, the Indians hitters know that Chen is a strike thrower. They also know that he doesn't tend to walk many people. The one thing that they noticed, though, in his last start was he's throwing quite a bit harder, sitting right around 95 down into 93. So the approach today, get him up over the plate and swing the bat.
Mike Aviles takes, it's a called strike. Out of play. Well, he was on that fastball, but you could see it ripped right back behind the plate.
Yeah, Chen, no matter where you pitch, he's 6-2 at home, 6-2 on the road. But he is blessed. Watch this. An 0-2 fastball will come straight back. He is blessed with almost 6 runs a game the Orioles give him.
Strikes out the first 2 tonight.
Take a look at this pitch on our Nissan pitch tracker. It looks like a little slide piece there at 84 miles an hour. The tilt, and Aviles swings over the top.
That'll bring up Michael Brantley. Batting .325, 17 homers, 78 runs batted in. Brantley takes ball 1. And he blazes a fastball in there to even the count of 1-1. Wei-Yin Chen is the first Taiwanese-born player in Orioles history. And he stepped right in 2 years ago and led the team in starts when he towed the rubber for 32 games. There's a smash to short, backhanded by J.J. Hardy, and the Indians go 1-2-3. No score after 1. Baseball is brought to you by your Northern Ohio Honda dealers, by the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. No score, second inning. For Baltimore, Nelson Cruz will lead it off. Corey Kluber mowed him down 1-2-3 in the first, exhausting all of 13 pitches. Struck out the last two, Davis and Jones. Nelson Cruz, what a year he's having. 31 home runs, 2 homers shy of his career high. You know, I thought it was interesting, Rick, that Cruz is only the 19th different Oriole. When you think about their history, and it's a pretty good one with great players. Only 19 Orioles have hit 30 or more homers in a season.
Well, people, you know,
it's not easy to do, is it?
No, I mean, when you throw 30 homers out there, you know, that's a difficult task to do. You know, I don't know why people, with Davis last year hitting the 50, that skews it. You know, really, 50 is out of this world. We got back into the steroid era when they were breaking the 61, and, you know, back-to-back years, it was goofy.
It got goofy. It's
it was
right.
Goofy. You hit 30 home runs a year. A lot of times 32 back in the days led the league in home runs.
No doubt. I remember when Andre Thornton hit 30-plus homers for the Indians. It was a big deal.
Yeah, it sure was.
Popped him up. Out goes the shortstop. Ramirez has it, one away. Our stat of the game brought to you by Buick. Corey Kluber in a 4-start stretch, ranking among some of the Indians' all-time greats.
He's got the highest ERA at .29. He's got to hold up his end of the bargain, man. He's only 3-0. Of course, Bob Feller 3-0. Tiant was 4-0 in '68. But, I mean, it's a stretch there that, I mean, not many have ever had in the history of the Cleveland Indians. So it's something to watch.
Lined right at the left fielder, Ryan Rayburn. That ball, I don't think it was ever more than 10 feet off the ground the whole way out there. That was a frozen rope.
Yes, it was. Notoriously a first ball hitter, too.
Don't remind me. I'd just about all but forgotten the one-game playoff a year ago.
Yeah.
J.J. Hardy batting .283.
He likes sitting here, huh, JJ? You put him up in the category of Elvis Andrus sitting here.
You're not kidding. Corey Kluber breezes through the second inning. He needed just 7 pitches this time to set him down 1-2-3.
At bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, audio scores, the free MLB TV game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Indians.com.
Bottom of the second inning, Carlos Santana going to lead it off. And at the knees, outside corner, called strike. Up and away.
You know, we were talking about the 30 home run benchmark. Last Indian to do it was Grady Sizemore back in 2008.
Santana retired, one down. Want to get back to that, but first let's remind folks that they can tweet their photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have one of your pictures shown during our telecast. It's all courtesy of AT&T. I think that homer plateau is now back to where it used to be.
Yeah, normal.
Where now if you're hitting 30 home runs or more,
you're in the top. I guarantee you're going to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
You knew something was out of whack, though. There were years where it's like so-and-so's got 30 home runs before the All-Star break.
Well, these guys now, they're bigger, they're stronger, without a doubt. I mean, nowadays, these guys are huge. But, you know, the game and the everyday, when you're an everyday player, it wears and tears on you. You wear down.
Gomes smacks one to deep left, but back there to grab it is Cruz. 2 down. Great clip of the game brought to you by Great Clips. Back on Wednesday, Ryan Rayburn with an all-out diving play in right field. That was just a sensational effort.
About as good as it gets right there. You're not going to make a better catch than that. For Ryan Rayburn, that's off the charts.
Batting 196 on the year with 3 homers, 21 driven in, 7 doubles. And he takes a strike from Wei-Yin Chen, who, like Corey Kluber, is going right at the hitters in full attack mode. 15 out of 18 pitches already 4 strikes.
Well, Chen, one of those guys, man, he goes at you. He's under 17 pitches per inning.
Well, he only needed 7 here in the second. 6 up, 6 down, no score through 2. The Indians and the Orioles. Corey Kluber will go at the bottom third of the Baltimore order here in inning number 3. And as we welcome you back in, it's time for our Hear Right Audiology Sounds of the Game. And we're happy to be joined in the booth this inning by Doug Jones, former Indians pitcher and closer.
Well, thank you.
How's that shoulder feeling?
Do I have to make any funny sounds or baseball sounds?
No, it'll do it on its own.
Oh, okay.
We don't need
All right.
help.
Now, obviously, you pitched a long time, both in the minor leagues and the big leagues. But you didn't get your fill of baseball with that because you've been, coaching? You worked in, I think, in some front office capacity, scouting, and now you're still coaching, at college level?
I went to my kids' high school when I retired and was just a parent volunteer. Then in 2006, several friends that lived there in Tucson, guys I played with too, Jack Howell and A.J. Hinch, were in the Diamondbacks organization, and I was coaching Jack Howell's kid at our high school. And I told him, I said, hey, if you guys need anybody, need some more help, set of eyes to watch some kids. I told him, I said, I'd be more than willing to come down there in spring training. I didn't really want to travel, but, be down there and help and watch and share some knowledge and work with some of the kids. And I had a blast. I was there for 3 years. And then the high school called back and said, we really need you here for the kids at the school this year. And I said, well, okay. My son was going to be a senior, and I figured that'd be a good time, and we won the state championship. And
how awesome is that?
That same spring we went to see my oldest son playing college ball in California, and Chris Bando. Yeah. I run into him, and he said, hey, I got the job at this school, San Diego Christian College. I need a pitching coach. What do you think? And so we talked about it for a while, and he said, just tell them what you want. And I said, well, I just would love to have some tuition for the kids. They said, sold. So they gave my two youngest kids some tuition the rest of the year. One got an aviation degree, the other a psychology degree. They just graduated, and now I'm done with that because they can't pay me anymore. So that's a tough deal. But Chris is still going at it. He's staying there to coach another year. His youngest son, Luke, as a matter of fact, he's going to finish up this year, and might be Chris's last year there too.
Well, now let me ask you this: do you still follow the big league baseball and the game going on now? Don't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I have to tell you the truth. My sons they're the statisticians and the fantasy players, and they know everybody and everything that they're doing. So if I have a question, I just check with them.
Well, but you've seen the transformation of bullpens.
Absolutely.
From back when you pitched, where there used to be 10-man pitching staffs, and they now have 8 or 9 men. How do you think that's affected the game?
Well, I think that's just a byproduct of the way the game has changed, simply because the investment in the young players, protecting arms, the number of innings they're allowed to throw, and the pinch counts and all those things. That's one of the things that changed all that. When they get to 100 pitches and the coach and staff starts getting nervous, and the front office starts getting nervous, and they got to get another kid out there to throw. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I just don't know that it's it's obviously just not the same. I know when I came into baseball, it was if you're a pitcher, you were expected to go 9, and if you didn't, they looked at you funny, and nobody wanted to be in a bullpen.
Right.
Because that's where the old starters went to die. But as the game changed, and when Raleigh and a lot of guys like him began to change the roles in the bullpen, that just kind of fell into my lap, and in that sense. But that and the number of guys that are out there, that's part of it. Just the number of guys, the pitches they're allowed to throw, and the protection that they're put under.
Visiting with former Indians pitcher Doug Jones, who spent a long time in the minor leagues, got your opportunity in the big leagues. How were you able to make that transition then, Doug? From starter to, bullpen, and then you developed that Bugs Bunny changeup, baffling hitters for years.
Well, I was a bit of an idiot in the minor leagues. I had some coaches try to tell me I didn't need 7 pitches, and I thought they were an idiot. But it turned out to be me, and I couldn't practice all of them, so none of them were very good, but I had the delivery that allowed me to repeat my mechanics, and so I could stay in the strike zone with everything. They just weren't very good pitches. Just kept everybody off balance. And for a long time, I didn't even understand that. I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know how I got people out. I just knew if I threw all this stuff, they'd eventually ground out or pop up or something, strike out one or two during the game. But when I ended up coming to the Indians in the minor leagues and had to go to the bullpen, I just had to make some gut checks and realize that I didn't need all those pitches, couldn't work on those pitches, and I couldn't throw them all in 2 innings anyway. So I just canned the rest of them and threw fastball changeup.
Yeah, you refined what you had, and it ended up being about command.
Yeah, it was always about command. I mean, that's, again, I never threw hard enough to, surprise anybody. So it was all about command in the strike zone and changing speeds no matter what I threw. I just realized that the fastball and the changeup were easy on my arm. I could bounce back every day. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, but you had unbelievable changeup. You could throw that at different speeds, couldn't you?
Absolutely. And then again, it made your fastball look harder. And if you had a little bit of movement and some quality location, it just kept hitters off balance, and they get stuck in the middle. They didn't know to sit on the fastball, but then they couldn't get to the changeup. If they sat on the changeup, then the fastball was by them, so you had them where you wanted them.
Isn't that the art of pitching, is keeping the hitter off balance?
And not to burn any bridges or get anybody mad, I think that's one of the issues about today's pitcher is that they seem to have to pitch to the radar gun. So if they feel like they're letting down a little bit, velocity-wise, then they feel like they're letting down as a pitcher. And it was natural just to pace yourself. And so you never threw it 100% unless you had 0-2 and you wanted to just surprise a guy or just let it go and didn't care where it went. But you always had extra in the tank. And, man, I've been teaching that, and I've always prescribed to that, to 85 to 95% of physical effort, and then you've always got something.
When you need it. When you need that strikeout. There comes point in times in the games like right now where Corey Kluber could use a strikeout.
Well, a BP fastball is the best pitch in the game, in my book, but you have to have the guts to throw it. And that's hard to do. It was always hard to teach anybody to take something off their fastball. I mean, when I was playing the last 6 or 7 years, I was there as an instructor a lot of times. I mean, managers were telling me, just go down there and sit with these kids and talk to them about pitching, coming out of the bullpen, all those types of things. And to try to get a kid that threw in the low 90s to say, once in a while when you're in a jam, it's nice to be able to just throw that bullpen fastball right down the middle and let them come out of their clothes to hit it because they're just going to pop it up or drive it in the ground. And that's what you're looking for. But it's hard to do that if you don't practice it.
Swing and a miss. He strikes out Chris Davis. 2 down. He did exactly what you were talking about. He took advantage of the hitter's aggressiveness right now.
Absolutely.
And that's his wipeout pitch, is that slider from Corey Kluber. He's got one of the best sliders in the game, and when he gets ahead of hitter, he can put it away. It's just tough picking up the spin right there.
Here's my question to everybody all the time is, when a good hitter misses a good pitch like that, is he missing because the ball moved, or is he missing because he thought it was a fastball and it wasn't a fastball?
Yeah.
It was slower. You were a good hitter. What did you think?
I think right there he's looking for a fastball. He didn't pick up the spin, and the ball started breaking. He couldn't hold up his swing.
Yeah, it's too late. And that's the same thing.
And I mean, because as a hitter, you get it in your mind, I'm going to get a fastball, and you're committed. You're going to swing no matter what.
Adam Jones swings at the first pitch, fouls it right back. Doug, I was curious. You spent those years in Cleveland, 86 to 91. You were an all-star. You were our Mr. Consistent. You were the guy we hung our hats on as fans, watching you year in and year out. But you missed some of the great years in Cleveland after you left as a free agent. But you did get to come back in 98. How important was that for you to come back and see and take in the renaissance that Cleveland baseball had become?
Well, I was just talking to somebody about that earlier today, and I thought what a great opportunity it was for me. But at the same time, I really had one regret, that I came here without any experience in the playoffs. And I really didn't know what to do. I felt like a fish out of water. I know I was traded for Eric Plunk, who was struggling, and I was having a little trouble in Milwaukee. And it was a kind of a favor trade or something in my mind. And I loved being here and seeing the new ballpark and the crowds that we were having and going to the playoffs. It was just an exciting time for me. I just wish I'd have been a little bit more prepared. But then the next 2 years, I got to play in Oakland, and we went to the playoffs both those years, in 99 and 2000, and got beat by those Yankees.
Yeah.
0-2 pitch from Kluber.
Yes, he did.
He went around, and Kluber strikes him out. A la Doug Jones. Doug, thanks for stopping by. Great to catch up with you.
Hey, it was a pleasure.
Former Indians pitcher Doug Jones and Corey Kluber, fans a pair with the bases loaded to get out of trouble. Hold on a second here. Let's first remind you that as you enjoy a cold one tonight, stay tuned for Miller Time later in the game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Another beautiful evening. And what a job by Corey Kluber to get out of a jam with the bases loaded.
Well,
and I thought it was awfully appropriate with Doug Jones in the booth. He got both hitters to go fish, go chase pitches, taking advantage of the hitter's aggressiveness with the bases loaded. Everybody wants to hit that big hit, want to drive in the runs. And Corey Kluber strikes out a pair.
Well, I thought it was interesting when he said, too many people get caught up in the radar gun, and I have a tendency to believe that at times. That's because now all ballparks have the speed gun, and even some pitchers believe it.
Walters drives one to deep left, and Cruz makes a nice catch. One away.
Well, we're going to look at this and make this our McDonald's. I'm loving it. He ends up walking Markakis to load the bases, and then comes up and gets Davis on the slider. Got ahead of Jones 0-2. Got him to chase the slider. So Corey Kluber in a jam early and pitches his way out of it. Goes to reliable, that slider, when he gets ahead.
Well, with the one out here in the third, Tyler Holt, the batter. Letter high strike. Tyler Holt 4 for 9 to start his big league career. In addition to swinging the bat well, he's made some very good plays in the outfield. That's a terrific bunt. Chen throws it away, backed up smartly by Scope. But the Indians have their first hit of the game and a one-out base runner here in the third.
Well, there you go, the element of surprise. And what happens, Joseph and Chen are going to get in trouble. See, Joseph called Chen off, but Chen wanted to make the throw, and the left-hander has to turn. It was nowhere close. The catcher gets in his way, but it's backed up nicely by Scope. So the element of surprise right there. Put your head down, get after it. Good play, gets an infield single.
Now Jose Ramirez, the batter. One hopper to third, backhanded by Flaherty, goes to second for one, on to first, not in time. But it was a terrific effort and a nice play by Flaherty over there at third, filling in for Manny Machado.
Yeah, the short hop. I didn't think they were going to be able to turn it with Ramirez getting down the line, but they came pretty close. Flaherty over to Scope. He had a tough time getting up, but you get the first one, and you never know what can happen on the relay. But Ramirez beats it out, so that's out number 2 on the force play.
Now Jason Kipnis struck out his first time up. And he lines one over the head of the third baseman into left field. Ramirez flying on his way to third, and he'll get in there safely. Indians at the corners with 2 down after Jason Kipnis picks up a 2-out knock.
You know what? That's good hustle by Ramirez because he could take off and run because there's 2 outs. But when you're Cruz, he didn't get caught into the trap of trying to go to third base. He did the smart thing where you come up and you just throw it to second. You keep that guy off. You still have a force out because there are 2 outs. I like the hustle by Ramirez, but then again, I like the play that Cruz made, just throw it to second base.
Now a 2-out single doesn't cost you 2 runs.
Right. You don't
if you're Baltimore.
That's right. That's, to me, is just smart defense.
Now Mike Aviles, who struck out his first time up. Trying to get the Indians on the board first. Against most teams, it's usually important to score first. Against Baltimore, it's almost vital. The Orioles have the best winning percentage in Major League Baseball when they score first. So you don't want to let them get the early lead. Blocked nicely that time by Caleb Joseph.
Well, the thing I like, that was a really nice block where at first base he kept it out in front of him. Kipnis thought about it, but he couldn't go. Joseph still looking at his concern is a guy at third base. You know, you talk about these Orioles, they play well on the road. They average a run more on the road than they do at home, which I find hard to believe. Because they have a pretty nice ballpark to hit in. But their clutch hitting has been very good on the road.
I almost wonder if they don't maybe try to hit home runs more at home, and maybe that leads to some of their problems offensively at home.
Well, it very well could, even though they have 152 as a team, leading the league.
Swing and a miss. They're leading all of baseball with those home runs, and they've hit 38 more homers than the Indians have this year. What's interesting about that is that despite the fact the Orioles have hit 38 more homers, both teams are averaging 4.4 runs a game, identical. 5th in the American League. 2-2. Out of play.
Oh, what a catch by a youngster in the first row up there. He's right behind that guy in a blue shirt. Nice catch, young man. I mean, he stuck it up there and made a whale of a catch. Watch this. Stretched out right into the glove. Nice play.
That's terrific.
Yes, it really is. Nobody else around. They're eating their ice cream. That young man's going home with a souvenir.
I'm afraid to buy him some ice cream out there.
That's beautiful. I'll buy him some. Put it on my tab.
The 2-2. Aviles called out to end the inning, and he fires the batting helmet in disgust. 3 complete, no score. And we welcome to the booth now former Indians pitcher Scott Bales, as I spill water all over everything up here. How you doing? Thanks for stopping by.
You're making a mess. No, it's great to be back.
Did you have fun golfing yesterday?
After a slow start, I felt better. I got better as the day went on.
That's why there's 18 holes.
Right,
it's like 9 innings of baseball.
Started slowly, got better.
That's the way you have to do it.
Perfect day, though. Great day for golf.
Now, are you still a big shot politician out there in Missouri?
No, I actually, my 4-year term is over. No more politics. I actually was asked to run against a congressman, Billy Long, who's our congressman in Missouri, and I said no chance.
You declined?
I
respectfully declined.
Quickly and respectfully.
Okay.
So, no interest. It was good.
Congressman.
No, I'm glad I did it. I think everyone should give it a shot at some point in their life. I know you guys aren't, but everyone else should do it at some point in their life. You guys are at the ballpark too much.
Yeah,
well, speaking of the ballpark, you're still working in baseball, though, right?
Yeah, I'm with the St. Louis Cardinals. They own our AA and AAA franchises in Springfield and Memphis, and they kind of control everything, from the concessions to the ticket pricing, and it's kind of neat. You're working for St. Louis, but I get to live at home and stay at home. We broadcast 30 games a year on TV.
Which is perfect, right?
Perfect. No travel.
Yeah.
You guys should think about that gig.
We can't. You have it.
Oh, what a play by Mike Aviles. He came in on the bare hand grab to throw out Nelson Cruz. Mike's still a little hot under the collar after being called out on strikes to end the inning, but he made a terrific defensive play, one a pitcher can appreciate, huh?
Appreciate that, and I didn't get to see the replay. Was his pitch a strike?
Yeah.
Yeah, the umpire called it.
So it's a strike.
It's a strike.
That's what I try and tell hitters.
That's right.
Don't turn around. It's over.
It's over.
When's the last time you saw an umpire go, oh, you're right?
I'll change my mind.
Come back, swing some more.
Haven't seen it yet.
Oh, boy. Here's Delman Young, who lined out to left his first time up.
So you enjoy doing the color for the team?
I really do.
It's a fun gig, isn't it?
Yeah, you sit up there and you talk about baseball, and how about you guys? This is the perfect view. You see everything from the catcher vantage.
Well,
I love it.
The nice thing, it keeps you around the game, and you're dealing with the young kids. It's got to be fun for you when you see them play at AA. Then maybe a year or two down the road, they're up in the big leagues doing what you knew they could do.
What you hope they can do. And, it's funny. There's so many guys that you see them in AA and you get really excited, and they don't pan out. And you try and figure, they have the talent, because I've always said if you can succeed in AA, you can be a good everyday major league player. If you don't change what you do, if you don't change your mental approach, how you go about work. I think guys think I have to do more.
Sometimes they do.
Right. But if they just relax, they have the talent. You guys got one of our guys that I loved, James Ramsey.
Yeah.
For Masterson. And, wow, what a
give
good.
Us your scouting report.
I will. I mean, the best team guy. He's a year out of Florida State. He's in AAA.
Right.
He's really advanced. He's a kid that here's what wraps it up for me. He was a first-round draft pick as a junior. Said no thank you, said no to $2 million. I want to go back. I want to win an SEC championship or ACC, whatever Florida State plays in. And he went back his senior year, kind of rolling the dice there, and he becomes a first-round draft pick again. He said, I'm not driven by money. I like baseball. I love being on teams. He will never get in trouble. I mean, I know the way you were and I was.
No, you don't know the way I was. Speak for yourself.
But this kid
will
imagine,
not.
But this kid will never do anything to embarrass the Indians. I mean, just a golden boy, and I hope he gets a chance later in September so you guys can see him. I really like him.
When you get your approval, I'm going to go with him. As a matter of fact, we're sending guys down to the fantasy camp this year to draft some of the guys from your team.
Well, I have won 2 of the last 3 championships.
I knew that was coming, so let me hear about that.
I know there's a little jealousy because you've been on a 10-year cold streak with your teams that you put a lot of energy into drafting and researching.
Long drive deep right. Tyler Holtz over his head, and it's going to hop up into the seats for a ground rule double. J.J. Hardy giving it a ride, going the other way with his 26th double of the year.
Well, I'll tell you what, he hit this ball pretty well, and Kluber left this ball up, middle of the plate. Made a mistake with it, and Hardy makes him pay. Drove it to right center field. Holt didn't run the best angle after that ball, and it gets up into the seats, but there are 2 outs, so a 2-out double, and Kluber's going to have to pitch out of it again.
Ryan Flaherty will be the batter. Had a base hit his first time up.
Yeah, 10-year drought, huh?
I hope I get invited back. Remember
again?
Well, remember in Winter Haven, I got released one year from fantasy camp. You guys let me go.
Keep you honest.
And I came back with new focus. I worked a little harder on my draft.
Short hop by Kipnis at second base. We're going to continue on with Scott Bales as Kluber gets out of trouble again here in the fourth. No score between the Indians and the O's. Indians.com/fantascamp. All the info's there. It'll be the third week in January.
Yeah, if you talk to Nate, just tell him you want to play on Scott Bale's team because you want to win. If you want to learn baseball and learn the game, say you want to be on Archie's team.
No. If you want to win and come home with a big old trophy, Fantasy Camp 2015, I have them all over my basement, stacked up to the ceiling. So come down. You've played.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never on my team. I do a lot of work on my draft. I do some research. So that's not going to happen.
He's played on my team a couple of times.
That's right. Yeah.
But
got to work on things.
It's a good week out there. I mean, what a lot of fun that place is. I can't. January 17th. I can't wait.
17th to the 24th.
Bobby D, write me down.
Yeah, we're in there. Don't worry.
Michael Brantley leading off for the Indians here. Takes a strike.
You're smoozing with Nate right now. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, we have a lot of fun with Scott. You've got a great sense of humor. You like to have fun with the guys. I know you were like that when you were a player. But in all seriousness now, you and your wife more than you, have raised 3 daughters. But your daughter, Tara, nominated you for what? Best dad of the year a couple of years ago. You were driving her to soccer practice to St. Louis and back every night.
She did. There's some 417 area code magazine. She did it because I was on city council. She played on some club soccer team in high school, and I drove her 3 days a week to St. Louis, twice for practice, once for games. It's about 3 hours each way.
Oh. 3 times a week?
3 times a week. I'd pick her up at school at 3 o'clock. She'd jump in the car, do homework while it was light, you kind of feel like one of those psycho dads that you see a 60-minute special on. You start thinking, people are asking you, no, I'm not doing that 3 times a week. No. But I was for 2 years. But luckily I had the time and I was able to. And, shoot, she ended up playing Division I soccer and got it all paid for, so we almost broke even.
Wei-Yin Chen makes a nice play on Brantley and throws him out one away here in the bottom of the 4th. Take another look at this
Scotty,
play by
did you
Jen.
used to field the ball like this back your position this well?
Yeah, you can't miss that one. Come on. He didn't even have to jump, did he?
That's true. No, he didn't have springs.
But good effort to make it look much more difficult than it was.
Well,
I want to ask you guys about Kluber.
How about him? That's about as good as you get.
Every highlight I see from spring training on, and here he's kind of struggled according to his stats, and it's still a 0.
Oh, I know it.
That shows you're special.
He's something very. We have the honor of watching him every 5 days. This has been a year that it's over the top. I mean, for a guy, it's a treat to watch him pitch every 5 days. He's got 4 above-average pitches. He's a great guy. He works at his craft. He's very, the game never speeds up on him. His heartbeat is about 10 times slower than yours.
Or Doug Jones.
Yeah, or
that heartbeat.
Jones. Oh yeah, it's got nothing, man. It's like
no. I've seen him tonight. I've seen him one other start that you guys did, and the other one he was dominating. Tonight, I think for him, he's like working at it, getting it. But that's why you're a great pitcher, because if I'm in that game and I have bases loaded 1 inning, I'm giving up runs probably. Yeah. Last inning, there's a misplayed ball to right field, I'm giving up a run there. But the good ones find a way to keep grinding out zeros, even when they're not 100%.
Kluber has 7 starts this year, 10 or more strikeouts. 2 of those starts, he hasn't walked anybody, where he's had 13 strikeouts. He's got a couple of complete games. He's just, there's nothing wrong. And then after his last 5 starts after an Indians loss, he's 3-1 with a .24 ERA.
Ouch.
So, the guy, at times, you feel he should be undefeated the way he pitches. He's only had maybe 1 rough outing.
I don't think I ever win an inning with a .24 earned run average.
I'll tell you, he's fun to watch. And people and hitters in this league are realizing how good he is.
Where'd he come from? What's his past?
San Diego. In the Jake Westbrook trade. It was a 3-team trade. Jake went to St. Louis.
Yeah, and did well there.
Yes, he did.
Santana draws out of Milwaukee, leads all of baseball in that category. 1 on 1 out here for Yan Gomes now. Scott, drawing on your experience when you pitched and watched other guys pitch, what is it that separates guys? Okay, I don't have my great stuff, but I'm still going to keep them from scoring. Is it simply some kind of great mental toughness, or is it just their mediocre stuff is still better than most other guys' good stuff?
I don't know, because there are other guys in the league. Every team has 1 or 2 that has that kind of stuff, I think. They throw 95 all the time, but there's something that separates these guys that can go 14-4 in the major leagues. And we sit as major leaguers and try and figure it out, because we'd all want to be that guy, but there's something different. And I do think it's mental. I think you said it perfectly, Arch, when you get bases loaded 1 out, those guys don't panic. It doesn't speed up. They just think, I make 1 more quality pitch, 1 more. And guys like myself, who are a number 9 or 10 pitcher on a staff, things do speed up. And you have things in the back of your head like, I failed in A-ball. I failed in college. Some of these guys have just been successful, and they grind it out, and the game doesn't change for him at any level. He probably had that same demeanor in high school.
Oh, yeah. The sense of it is it doesn't speed up. They're into 1 pitch at a time. They never look beyond that pitch. They make adjustments from pitch to pitch. As a hitter, it's 1 pitch at a time. You make adjustments instead of game to game. You do it at bat to at bat or pitch to pitch.
Oh, Gomes got into one, deep right field. Back goes Markakis at the wall, makes the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, when I would get in those situations, I had good games and bad, but a lot of the time, and I hate to admit it, but I will, when I get base loaded, I was looking in the bullpen.
Yeah,
not because I wanted to get taken out. I just thought, oh, heck.
What'd I do wrong?
Who are they warming up? Yeah. Oh, I'm already killing my bullpen. Just negative stuff would get in my head. Not all the time, but I think the guys like Kluber and Clemens and Hernandez now, those guys just, the game is different for them. And I don't think it's anything any coach can teach.
Yeah, it's almost like you're born with a sense of something. They can give you little tips that you can incorporate to your game plan, but you have to execute them on your own. They call it a team game, but it's an individual game when you're out there performing your craft or your art.
Well, I think another baseball buzzword that Scott's talking about is presence. You hear that cliche thrown around. Oh, this guy, he's got presence, mound presence. Roger Clemens had it. When you saw him on the mound, you knew that was a bad dude out there.
And he's going to intimidate you, too. And if you didn't think so, he'd prove it.
Yeah. Some guys have it. And some guys, you're searching for it.
You look for it. You have it at times. It comes, it goes. But for those special guys, it's just part of who they are. Yeah. And I think scouts have figured out that there's something to this presence. And it's not just something that a word you throw out. And I'll tell you this, that Ramsey kid that you have in Columbus, he has presence.
It's good to hear.
For a young guy in a locker room, for a year out of college, he was the leader of our clubhouse. And he's not the guy that was out partying, running hard, getting respect that way, which some guys get it that way. He got it from the way he went about work and playing the game. He was like the veteran, and he's 21 years old, I think.
Yeah,
but he played that way.
Focus and dedication to the kids nowadays because everything's structured once you get into pro ball. I'm talking about nutrition, weightlifting, training. Everything that you do, you have to go about it. And it is a routine that these guys get into. And it starts from day one when you get into professional ball now.
All I know is thank the good Lord there was no Twitter or cell phones when you guys were playing.
I'll second that.
I'll third it.
The 1-2 pitch.
We wouldn't have been playing very long, would we?
We wouldn't have made it through a road trip. It wouldn't. I mean, that would have been horrible. But I have heard from players today that it's different, too, where we would go and hang out, go eat together, go have a beer together.
Yeah, right.
We would hang out. Now I think it's a little more guys go do their own things, probably out of that fear that in a big group situation, something bad could happen.
Hey, it's great catching up with you. Thanks for stopping by, as always. Former Indians pitcher Scott Bale's with us, and we still have a scoreless duel tonight here in Cleveland. Tonight, the all-new Sunnyside Chevrolet in Elyria. Sunny will save you money. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. No score as we go down to the 5th inning. Always fun catching up with those guys.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because when those guys were just starting playing, I was just starting doing television, so I was done already at that time. And I watched those guys grow up and play, and now I hear them now, and it is fun. It's a lot more fun for me.
Was it hard the first couple of years when you were doing TV and you were watching it? You were like, gosh, did you still want to be down there?
Oh, yeah, I felt like I was one of them, even though I couldn't put a uniform on. I had to come up to the booth. But, yeah, I sure, once a player, you always. At least that's what you think.
You had to be a grown-up and put a tie on.
I don't know if I'm growing up, but I had to put a tie on. But those guys, yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Caleb Joseph fly to center his only time up.
And the funny thing is a lot of those guys that have been away from baseball for a while, they want to get back into it. And it's tough, once you get away from it for a while.
5th strikeout for Kluber as he gets Joseph looking. I just think baseball, somebody said it once, it's like the circus. And I don't even know what that means. But it's something about the game when you've been around it for a number of years. It gets in your blood and it becomes part of who you are, and it's hard to go do something else for a living.
It's such a small fraternity, when you get into it, even professionally, when you're a minor league kid. Not to say that they don't love it and want to get it. You have to go up and grow up and make a living, and,
yeah,
you go on with life. Some people don't like it as much as others. Other people are addicted to it. So it is, once you get to the big leagues, then it's a really small fraternity. What's the percentage of kids that play baseball in this country that get drafted? And then once you get drafted, I think it's about 7 to 8% of the guys that make it to the big leagues. So, I mean, it's the best of the best.
It's almost like winning the lottery.
It is.
I don't even know if the odds are that good.
It is like winning the lottery.
Swing and a miss by Scope. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
But it's something you love to do, and you work at your craft. And it doesn't matter just being the best at what you do. And everybody can do that. Whatever you like. It doesn't have to be baseball. It could be anything. You could be a doctor, a fireman, or a policeman, whatever you want to be. Just be the best at it.
Breaking ball in the dirt. Scope just fought one off his first time up, and he flared it over the head of Kipnis into shallow right field for a hit back in the 3rd inning, and that's when Baltimore would load the bases, but Kluber, with only 1 out, would strike out back-to-back hitters to get out of the jam. Swing and a miss. He blows a fastball by Scope, and he strikes out back-to-back hitters now here in the 5th inning. All right, now we showed you the young man who caught that ball in the first row of the club seats earlier. Katie Witham is now caught up with him, I understand.
I have, and Rick Manning, thank you to you. You have now bought him this large bowl of cookies and cream Dippin' Dots.
Thanks,
this is the glove and ball. This is Kyle Bora, 12 years old. He says he's a second baseman and a pitcher, but maybe an outfielder now. Kyle, what was going through your mind when that foul ball was coming at you?
I just saw a foul ball and I went for it.
It was pure reactionary, wasn't it?
Yes.
Now, Mom and Dad have told me that he went just a couple of weeks ago to the Indians' summer baseball camp where he was able to play with some of the players. Do you feel like that prepared you to make that catch?
Yes.
How much fun was that camp?
It was a lot of fun.
Okay, and tell everybody at home what you have going on tomorrow.
I have a doubleheader.
A doubleheader. So lots of baseball for him, guys. And he wants...
Good for you,
Get him some more ice cream then.
Yeah, Matt says that you deserve some more ice cream. Is there anything you want to say to Rick?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, buddy. Nice catch. Anytime you make a catch like that, you get more.
He says anytime you make a catch like that, you can get some more.
Thank you.
Guys, back over to you.
Good job,
well
Katie.
done and good luck. 1-1
Very
foul out
humble
of
young
play.
man, huh? I'll tell you, that was a far one. When you go to those camps and you try and teach young kids how to catch fly balls, the toughest thing is coming at you. I mean, you're going to see the replay. See how far that thing is hit? They don't hit them that far in Little League.
No
and I
way.
mean, when you go to a camp, you don't hit fungos to kids. That is reactionary, and that is a great play. He may never make that play again, but he made it on TV, and he'll remember it forever.
Golf to right field. Holt broke back on it, and then when he had to come in, he couldn't get to it, and Markakis has a 2-out single. Kind of a big swing by Markakis, but he didn't really get the barrel to it. And a big swing might have fooled Holt just enough.
Well, it can do that, but sometimes they're going to fall in. You see the swing, you react to it. I don't know if that got in on him inside or it was off the end of the bat. Usually if it's off the end of the bat, it gets you. When it's inside and he doesn't hit it well, you hear the thud, and you know it's not going to go over your head.
Well, Chris Davis, the batter now, has struck out twice tonight. Davis takes a fastball for strike one.
Another thing we like to look at through Kluber now that he's been through the lineup 2 times. The first time through the lineup, 25 pitches to retire him. Second time, 30. So that's something that he throws so many strikes.
Yeah.
Consistent. That's what I'm saying. He's very consistent.
That was a pretty good looking pitch right there. 1-1. Good block by Gomes.
It's funny, Kluber with 6 strikeouts on the night. They've been back-to-back. First inning, he got Davis and Jones. Third inning, Davis and Jones. This 5th inning, Joseph and Scope.
Back out of play, 2-2. Seattle Mariners out on top of Detroit 5-1. They're in the 4th inning in the Motor City. Kansas City and Minnesota just underway at Target Field. In Minneapolis, Royals lead Detroit by half game, 6 in front of Cleveland. A month and a half to go in the season. So lots can happen between now and then. 2-2 pitch. Just off the outside corner, full count. Davis normally a free swinger, but showing some restraint in this at bat. Runner goes. Strike 3 called. Davis is struck out for the 144th time this year. And Kluber fans 3 here in the 5th. He's got 7 on the night. This coverage of the Browns Ice Bucket Challenge. Find out how the quarterback reps will be doled out on Monday night. And Beanie Wells and Paul Warfield talk Buckeye football. It's all on FoxSportsOhio.com. Home half of the fifth. And for the Indians, bottom third of the order due up. Zach Walters, Tyler Holt, and Jose Ramirez. Walters scorched one to left his first time up. He sent Nelson Cruz on the run, and Cruz made a nice catch on the ball going back. Chased one. That time it's 0-2. Walters is grabbing at his back after that swing. That was the changeup. And it looked like Walters, in trying to go out and reach for it, he might have done something to himself here. Usually when hitters hurt that oblique or do something, it's when they go out and reach for a pitch.
Yeah, you know what? And Francona sees that from the bench. He absolutely sees that. And you're right. He does not look good.
Oh, and his face doesn't.
He's grimacing.
Yep.
You picked that up. And you know what? It was the changeup, so he did extend. Look at him. You see that got him. I would be really surprised if he stays in this game. He's trying to talk his way into it right now. And he's DHing it. And Francona saying, look, are you sure? Just from the look on his face. So I don't know him.
No.
And I don't know if I'd let him swing again. I'd throw another changeup down the way if I'm the pitcher.
Breaking ball foul. Walters put a good swing on it, but he pulled it just foul.
I wouldn't have thrown anything coming into him. I would have thrown something going away from him, let him reach, but this one was coming into him. Try and keep an eye and just watch him.
Again, the 0-2 from Chen. Fastball up and away. Downstairs with a changeup. Hit pretty well left field. Back goes Cruz. Looking up. It is gone! I think. Yes, now they make the decision. It's a home run for Zach Walters. His second on the year, and the Indians take a 1-0 lead.
Well,
here comes Buck Showalter. Ed Hickok's waited a long time. I called it a home run because it looked like it. Then I looked to see if Ed Hickok's agreed, and he wasn't making any kind of motion.
Let's take another quick look at it. Up and out over the plate. He gives it a ride. It is up, and yes, it is over. It hit those people's hands after it hit the railing. Did you see it go up?
Let's see. It hits
above the line, and it hits their hands. See that?
Yeah.
It hits the railing. That's going to be out of here. They got to get rid of that railing. That's the one that is so deceiving.
Ed Hickok signaled home run, so there's got to be something on the replay that would overturn that. Indisputable evidence, but I don't see what you could.
I thought it was over the fence, and watch the arms.
But it hits right on the top of the yellow line, though, so that's not technically a home run.
But then it hits the railing.
Yeah, so that's got to be.
It goes up.
Yep.
Those guys leaning over for it, it gets their hands. They're up over the home run porch. It hits the railing. I'm thinking it would have went into the seats if they weren't there, or hit that railing and came out. Well, the one good thing, he's smiling now. We went from thinking they were going to take him out of the ball game after that swing on the changeup to, we think, hitting a home run here.
Isn't that something? I don't know how close Terry Francona might have been.
Oh, he had to be close. He had to talk his way in.
I'm not sure, Rick. Did it hit the railing first? I think it might have hit the railing and then hit the yellow line.
It very well could have. I'm thinking that railing up there is not good, and it's tough to see for umpires because it's the green. Top corner of your picture up there in the top.
Let's see.
Yeah, it hit the railing.
It did hit the railing first.
There's a great shot, boys. They slow
railing.
It down.
That's a home run. Yep,
that's a
absolutely.
Home run.
That was conclusive. The call was confirmed by video replay. And that last angle we had, really, you could see it hit the railing first. That's automatic home run. And Zach Walters goes from almost maybe leaving the game when he swung and missed at the changeup early in the at-bat to belting one out of here to give the Indians a 1-0 lead.
Well, that is Chen's. We told you that's his 20th home run allowed. That is his 12th home run leading off an inning.
And a lot of solo shots along the way.
And that's number 15. 15 out of the 20, and that ball got the railing first.
Tyler Holt takes a strike 1-1. Holt had the Indians' first hit, a bunt single back in the third.
How many times have we seen balls up there that you're going to have to go to the replay machine on?
Quite a few.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough wall up there for umpires to see with just that one little yellow line and the green railing behind it.
Off the end of the bat. Jones coming hard in center field, makes the catch. One down. This is how the at-bat began. And then Walters reached and grabbed for his side.
There
and then
it is.
Out came Terry Francona, James Quinlan. But he was able to talk his way into staying in the at-bat. And eventually he goes deep.
Well, it gives the Indians a 1-0 lead.
Ramirez was thinking about a bunt, but never really had the barrel of the bat out in front of the plate. Found it straight back. It's 0-2. Really jammed him that time, but he was able to pull the hands in, and he's out. 2 down.
The umpire had to wait for that helmet to fly by him before he could ring him up.
Let's send it out to Al Pulaski right now for a Mazda game break.
Hey, Matt, Rick, let's go to Detroit, where the Tigers are struggling. Rick Porcello struggling as well. Here's a solo home run by Robinson Cano, his 11th of the year. The Mariners lead the Tigers. Scores 5-1 now. They're in the 5th inning in Motown. Matt?
Thanks, Al. Detroit had won their last 2 going into tonight's ball game, but still trail front-running Kansas City by a half game.
Well, they did a split with Pittsburgh. Lost 2 there, won 2 at home.
Kipnis singled his last time up when he dumped a base hit down the left field line.
Well, Chen now hit the lineup for the second time. He threw 23 pitches the first time through, but 40 the second time through, where Kluber was 25 and 30.
In off the plate, 2 and I'll make it 3 and 1. Back out of play, full count. Way in Chen, ready now with the 3-2. And Kipnis over the head of Chen. Short hopped at the shortstop position by Hardy, and the inning is over. Zach Walters goes deep just above the 22-foot wall in left field, and the Indians have the 1-0 lead. Tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have them shown during one of our telecasts this year. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Corey Kluber will go to work on Adam Jones, Nelson Cruz, and Delman Young here in the 6th inning. So far tonight, the trio of Davis, Jones, and Cruz, who have a combined 75 home runs on the year, they're 0 for 8. They've seen 29 pitches, 20 for strikes. So Kluber has carved up the big boppers.
Well, again, when you look at him and you say, how can he get those good guys out? He gets ahead of them. He throws them a lot of strikes. They get very dangerous when you fall behind, and then all of a sudden you have to go and you get a little more predictable with what you're going to throw to them.
Outside with it, 2-0.
Here we'll get a look at it now on a 2-0 count. He has not had many.
Off-speed pitch.
Cutter.
And in for a strike. Beats it into the ground. Third baseman Mike Aviles throws him out. Our in-game recap brought to you by your Toyota dealers and Corey Kluber with 7 strikeouts on the night. He's given up 4 hits, but he has been big when he's needed to be. Meanwhile, Zach Walters hits one to left. The wall is 19 feet high. He hit one 20 or maybe 19 feet and 6 inches.
That's right.
Just enough to get it over. The only run of the game, and now Nelson Cruz 0 for 2 is the batter. You know, when you look at these two clubs, because I was looking at these numbers today and I was trying to figure out, Indians are 500, 60 up, 60 down. Baltimore 69 and 50. So essentially 10 games better than the Indians this year, and yet they've both scored exactly 4.4 runs a game. Indians have batted .253 as a team, Baltimore .252. Almost identical batting averages. The Indians have allowed 4.3 runs a game, Baltimore 3.9. Orioles are 6th in ERA, Indians are 7th. So all those numbers are dead even. Baltimore, though, has hit 38 more homers, and they've allowed 38 fewer unearned runs. And maybe therein lies the difference on where these two clubs are at.
The Indians have made 92 errors on the year compared to 56 of Baltimore's. And, you know, again, it comes down to when are you making those errors? How costly is it going to be? Both teams have very good bullpens.
36 fewer errors means a lot fewer pitches made by your staff, too.
Yeah. Fewer outs. How many times have we said an extra out to a team that, you know, is swinging it well? Even a team that's not swinging it well, you give them opportunity, it gives them new life.
Now the 1-2.
Well, they've hit, would you say, 38 more homers, and they've got some pop in through the middle part of their lineup. That's the difference between the Indians lineup. They don't have legitimate power hitters like the Orioles. You get Davis, Jones, and Cruz.
That's 75 home runs.
Yeah, and I mean, Wieters is not even he's not even playing this year.
Full count.
That's a big difference. You can strike quickly. You can get back into ball games. I think that's why when they get a lead early, they're so good. Is because then they can get a little more aggressive and you make mistakes and then they can hit big flies and just. This has been the sign of the year right here for Baltimore. Cruz, $8 million. He was free to anybody that wanted him.
Bounce to third. Oh, what a pick by Aviles, but he couldn't come up with the ball then. And Cruz is aboard with one out here in the 6th. He picked it, but trying to get the ball out of his glove, it popped loose. And that enables Cruz to reach.
And speaking of errors, he never really had control of it. It was actually off the heel of the glove. He was down there in the right position. Unfortunately, it didn't go into the pocket. And he never came up with it, so it'll be an error for Aviles.
1 on, 1 out now for Delman Young, who is 0 for 2.
That was not an easy play.
Slowly chopped now. Aviles, bare hand grab. Throws a seed to Santana for out number 2.
Attaboy, Mike. He redeems himself. You get that ball. That's exactly what you want to. After you make an error, you want that next ball hit to you. And he comes up with a bare hand. He didn't even mess with the glove. So well done. That's not an easy play either. Well, everything's been hit at him this inning.
Watch how he barehands this ball, too. Watch the positioning of his fingers. So he's got it exactly how he wants to throw it.
Well, that's not an easy position to play when you're playing. He's been in the outfield. He's been at short recently, and he has played some second. But that's probably the toughest one of them all. The weird angles over at third.
Mike told me that one of the things that's enabled him to have such a good arm at all the various positions that he plays is that when he had Tommy John surgery, when he came back from that, he had to do so many exercises and stretching exercises for his arm and his elbow to get it strong again that he's incorporated that into his daily routine. So he said, I stretch my arm a ton every day. And he feels like that's enabled his arm to stay loose, regardless of whether he's playing in left field, second base, shortstop, or third. Because sometimes, Rick, as you know, those different angles, those different types of throws, that can cause a lot of wear and tear on your shoulder and your elbow.
It's not an easy thing to do, and you can come up with a lot of sore arms, but he's done a great job at it. I mean, he's not overmatched anywhere he goes on the field. He's prepared. He's ready for it.
One of those stories where out of adversity and out of some hardship, some good comes of it. Nobody ever wants to have to go through that. But for Avila's coming out on the other side, it's maybe helped him to keep that arm strong and keep it in great shape. J.J. Hardy doubled to deep right in the fourth. Sitting in a good hitter's count here, 2-0, with the Indians leading 1-0 in the sixth. Up high, 3 balls, no strikes.
Well, Hardy got the double, the only extra base hit for Baltimore tonight, and it was the only mistake pitch really for Kluber that he left down the middle of the plate. Drove it to right field.
Bullseye, 3-1. Wow. Even Kluber flashing a long look in at Dana DeMuth. He thought he had a strike there, didn't get the call. And a 2-out walk keeps the inning alive.
Well, another rocket blast will take place tomorrow. We have one tonight, one set for tomorrow. It'll feature a tour of rock, and the theme and local band Welshly Arms will perform live at the ballpark prior to the fireworks. Get your tickets early. You can save on Indians.com.
Ryan Flaherty has singled and grounded out. Sometimes even when you miss, you hit. And that's what happens when you're going good. Up and away, 1-1.
We've seen it before. Our first trip to Baltimore, Flaherty was playing third base because Machado was out back then. He wasn't back yet. And he's done a nice job filling in at third base. He plays some second for him and also can play shortstop. Oh, boy.
Hit foul.
Did you see Ramirez sneak in
Sure
behind
did.
him? And that's why I think that Flaherty tried to swing. He saw that hole open at shortstop. Now Kluber Has him down in the count 1-2.
Now the 1-2. High pop. Shallow left. Out goes Ramirez. In comes Rayburn. Ramirez makes the catch. And Kluber works out of trouble here in the 6th. Indians 1, Orioles nothing. Tonight on Training Camp Daily, Jim Donovan, Doug Deacon, and Tony Grossi will have all the news you need to know about the Browns' upcoming Monday night game against the Washington Redskins. All coming up from Berea tonight at 10:30 on Training Camp Daily. Mike Aviles will lead off for the Tribe here in the bottom of the 6th, 0 for 2 on the night. And a strike to the outside corner by Wei-Yin Chen. To right field. Back goes Markakis, and he'll grab it for out number 1. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Manny Machado put on the 15-day DL for Baltimore. How about you, Darvish? That's the last thing Texas needs, the way their season's going. Troy Tulowitzki with a hip injury, and I think read where Carlos Gonzalez is going to have knee surgery, and his season looks like it's over. Jed Lowry on a DL for Oakland. Homer Bailey for Cincinnati.
It's nonstop. It's like we give that report every day, and it seems like a new face pops up.
Yeah. Michael Brantley got his bat broken. I can't remember the last time that happened. 2 down.
Well, the best deal in town for families is the KeyBank Kids Value Ticket. It's available every game out at the ballpark, and each kid receives $15 for free to use on either concessions or merchandise, whatever you choose. Visit Indians.com to purchase your tickets.
Carlos Santana takes a strike. Man, he chases one out of the strike zone. Santana golfs one deep left field. Cruz looking up and makes the catch. About a stride and a half in front of the wall. And the Indians go 1, 2, 3. We'll head to the 7th. Cleveland 1, Baltimore nothing.
Presents fireworks that'll take place August 22nd. The Indians will take on the Houston Astros for the first time this season. And Sugardale Dollar Dogs also on tap for the game. Visit Indians.com. Get your tickets.
Indians with a 1-0 lead. 7th inning. Corey Kluber has been terrific. 4 hits allowed. He has struck out 7. And he's got 8, 9, and 1 due up here. Caleb Joseph and Jonathan Scope. He struck him out back-to-back when they started the 5th inning. And a strike at the knees. Mariners still lead the Tigers now 6-1 Seattle in the 6th inning in Detroit. Fouled right side. Twins have grabbed the lead against Kansas City. Minnesota 1-0 over the Royals there in the 3rd in Minnesota. Breaking ball. Did he go? He did, says first base umpire Ron Culpa. And Joseph down swinging for the 8th strikeout of the night for Corey Kluber.
Again, another check swing. Not sure, not picking up the spin. You could see the reaction as a hitter. You don't think it. Here's a better look and a better view. Well, he might have held up. I'll tell you what. That was awfully close. As a hitter, when you're trying to lay off that slider, you don't want it called.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's tough to do.
15th time he struck out 8 or more, most by an Indians pitcher since Sam McDowell in 1970. The last right-hander to do it was El Tiante in 68. Jonathan Scope with a single in the third and a strikeout on the fifth. Down Broadway, 2-2. You know, there's a note in the Orioles press notes tonight about how since June 30th, Baltimore's ERA is 2.95. That's fourth best in the big leagues. And the Indians' ERA over that same time period is 3.25. As Scope goes swinging and missing. 9 strikeouts for Kluber. And I think that's very impressive because you think about since June 30th, think about the state of flux that the Indian starting rotation has been in. The guys that have been coming and going, and Masterson traded, and Tomlin to the bullpen, and you're constantly changing pieces. And yet, thanks to the guys who still are in the rotation and the bullpen, they've held it together somehow.
Yeah, it really is impressive considering that this is the only mainstay. The only constant out there has been Corey Kluber.
Now Nick Markakis takes a cutter over the outside corner for strike one. Well, that's the 11th game of 9 strikeouts. He's still chasing McDowell and Tion.
You're going to see those names the rest of this year, so get used to it.
Wow. He is locked in. It's 0-2 on Markakis. Four times tonight, Kluber has struck out back-to-back hitters. Can he fan 3 in a row here in the 7th? Markakis is able to lay off the slider.
Well, he's had a dozen 12 0-2 1-2 counts tonight. And how many times do we say that with Kluber? It's a constant.
Upstairs with it, 2-2. Fouled right back. You notice when he's putting his fingers down, Gomes, it's not just the fingernails. He's got his fingers painted.
It's the fingers painted, right. It's not on the nails. You know how they got those things that stick on your nails, like fake nails, that glow in the dark? He's got his whole finger painted white to where you can see.
Tom Boschenik says that's the first 2-strike foul ball the Orioles have managed against Kluber tonight. Now the 2-2 offering, and another one back-to-back.
And Tom now tells us it's a second.
You're going to be in a penalty box before long.
I think I'm already there.
63% strikes for
That's low
Kluber.
for him. That's low. Normally he's 65 to 70.
Well, he had, he was searching for it early on.
Yeah.
And the 2-2. Fastball away, full count. Well, like Scott Bale said when he was with us earlier, the good ones, even when they don't have their quality A game necessarily with them, they still don't give an inch.
Yeah, they find a way to keep you in the game. Here comes the slider.
And he got a piece of it.
That's what makes Marquez such a tough out. This guy continues. I mean, he gets hits. He's always around the 290, 300 mark. He's a tough guy to strike out. He's fouled off some excellent pitches that Kluber has made to him in this at-bat.
Well, Marquez is a little antsy.
It's a game of cat and mouse now. It's been a good battle, and no one's going to give in. Kluber's waiting to get the right pitch he wants to throw. Marquez is not going to stick around and wait for it.
Another foul.
I'll tell you, this is a good at-bat.
This will be the 10th pitch of the at-bat.
Then Kluber's not giving in.
Again, the 3-2. Popped him up. Aviles makes the catch. Kluber sets him down 1-2-3 here in the 7th as the Indians maintain their stranglehold on a 1-0 lead. Time now for the 7th inning stretch. Brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be. Between the Indians and the Orioles, Tribe on top 1-0. You get a look in from our Panini's overstuffed cam. Here in the bottom of the 7th, Yan Gomes, Ryan Rayburn, and Zach Walters, who will be due up. Walters with the home run, the only tally on the night. Yan Gomes is 0 for 2. $27,845 here tonight. And a ball in the dirt to Yan Gomes. They've been treated to another terrific pitching performance by Corey Kluber and one almost matched by Wei-Yin Chen. But if not for the Zach Walters home run that just did clear the 19-foot wall in left field.
Yeah, runs are at a premium.
Bounce to third. Flaherty throws him out, one away.
Well, 10,000 fans will receive a Terry Francona jersey. That'll be courtesy of Northeast Ohio Media Group. That'll take place Saturday, August 23rd. The Indians will host the Astros. Plus, Pierre's Ice Cream presents Van Halen fireworks after the game.
Ryan Rayburn tried to hold up, but he went around. Rayburn getting the start tonight in left field. Very likely that tomorrow we'll see Michael Brantley back in left field because Michael Bourne should be ready to go tomorrow night, getting the start in center field. Bourne active for tonight's game, but not in the lineup with the left-hander Chen starting here this evening. Two-strike pitch, and it's outside. Low, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kansas City has come back to take a 3-2 lead over Minnesota. They're in the 4th inning at Target Field. Seattle still leads Detroit 6-1. Mariners in the 7th. The 2-2 to Rayburn. Upstairs in a full count. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. 2 down, 5th strikeout for Chen. And as we promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Back in the 5th inning, Zach Walters swung and missed at a changeup and looked like he might have done something to his side or maybe an oblique or one of those muscles. They came out, looked at him, he stayed in and cleared the wall with a home run, accounting for the only run of this game.
Yeah, he ended up being down in the count 0-2, worked his way back in, had a 6-pitch at bat, and has put the only run on the board. Yeah, I find that strange because I'm surprised that they kept him in the game.
He was grimacing. You could see in his face that he didn't feel real good.
If body language said anything, he would have been on the bench. But, boy, he talked his way into it, whatever he said, and he delivered.
Three for 13 since coming to Cleveland, but 2 of his 3 hits have left the yard. Won a game winner in extra innings.
This one could be.
And if this one stands, it'll be another game winner.
Just a little bit earlier.
Smashed up the middle. Now, Walters has swung the bat well all 3 times tonight. Hit the ball hard his first time up, but Cruz made a nice catch in deep left. And now a line drive single here in the 7th.
Yeah, just take it right back up the middle. Ball jumps off his bat. Just the 4th hit now for the Indians, and Walters has 2 of them.
Now here is Tyler Holt, 1 for 2 on the night. And a foul right back. 0-2. Wei-Yin Chen has thrown 90 pitches tonight. 61 of those, 61 out of the 90 have been strikes.
He's been very efficient. As we mentioned, coming into today, he averaged about 16.6 pitches per inning. Makes you swing the bat. You got to get aggressive. Be ready early.
The 0-2, a little bit outside, and Chen, first time tonight we've seen any animated emotion from him. I don't know if that was just time for a deep knee bend or if he really wanted that pitch called a strike.
I think he really wanted it called a strike, and, you know, he feels he hit his location. He thought he was going to get the call. He did not. Now he's got to throw another one.
Swing and a miss. He comes back and gets him anyway. I think. What's everybody waiting for?
I don't know.
That should be the end of the inning.
I think so. It's it.
Wow. I think they caught everybody by surprise. The inning's over. The Indians still lead it 1-0. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Stay tuned for Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Going to the 8th inning, and Corey Kluber is still out there, 104 pitches on the night. Brian Shaw, right-hander, up behind him in the Indians bullpen. Chris Dickerson has come on for Ryan Rayburn in left field. Davis has struck out all 3 times tonight. The only guy that struck out more times this year than Chris Davis is B.J. Upton in Atlanta. He struck out 150 times coming into tonight.
He's struggling over there.
Upstairs with it, 0-2. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Davis got a piece. Haven't had a chance really to talk about it tonight, but while we were gone yesterday on the off day, the Pittsburgh Pirates claimed John Axford off the waiver wire, and basically Pittsburgh assumes the rest of his salary for the year, and so Axford is now with Pittsburgh. So the Indians are down a man from their normal allotment in the bullpen, and that's how Michael Bourne was then activated for tonight's game from the disabled list. There was some good with Axford this year. There was some bad, and there was some in between. I mean, he did a nice job at times.
It's all about command for John Axford. You know, the walks, getting ball in the strike zone.
The 1-2. Got him looking. The golden sombrero for Chris Davis tonight. And Corey Kluber has struck out 10 Baltimore hitters.
For the 8th time this year, Kluber has 10 or more strikeouts. It's a fastball that dots the eye on the outside corner. Paints it, hits the block, whatever you want to call it, but a perfect pitch. And Kluber does it again. And 4 of those against Davis.
Well, since Dennis Eckersley. They both have 8. Dennis did it in 1976.
That hit him?
I think he's offered at it.
Okay, if he offered at him, it's a strike. It looked like it might have got him on the hand. He's shaking it.
That's a foul ball. That's simply a strike.
Yeah, if it hits the bat, yes, or the hand, that's part of the bat. If he went.
I think he offered at it. That'll be what they'll have to determine. But the signal from Dana DeMuth was foul ball.
Okay, then that's a strike.
Sure.
Let's see. Yeah, he did offer at it, and it got him on a finger. That's his fault. That's a strike. He's trying to, get on base, get a base runner, mess up the timing. That's like a guy swinging at a slider down and in, a check swing, let's say, and the ball hits him, and it's called a strike. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, once you offer at it.
I think they're just giving Jones time to get that glove back on. There's nothing they can do about it now. Kluber's just sitting out there waiting, saying, let's go. And this could be a ploy just to slow him down. Just to mess with his rhythm. That's all it is. He's trying to mess with him is what he's doing. There's nothing you can argue there. He can disagree if he wants, but Terry's saying, let's go.
Now, Buck Showalter is asking Dana DeMuth to get help, and so he's going to bring in Ron Kulpa.
The thing of it is he did go at it. I mean, he called it himself. He didn't even ask for help to begin with. He saw him go at that ball and try and bunt it. He doesn't need help. Well, a hit batter, I guess, yes. I guess you can review a hit batter, and he's going to go ahead and challenge. He's going to go ahead and challenge, and they're going to see that he went after it. Let's take a look at it from the side. We haven't seen this angle of that.
Definitely didn't hit him. He's trying. I think he's trying to act this one out. I never saw it hit him. Did you? Managers can challenge a batter being hit by a pitch, so it is challengeable, and that's what the Orioles have decided to do here. But that did not look like it came anywhere close to hitting Adam Jones, though. Rick, this is one of those things too in terms of replay challenges. This is one of the toughest things there is to see. I mean, because we look at these things sometimes 4 and 5 times, and it's almost virtually impossible to see if it hit a finger or a hand.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe if you had super slow-mo, you might be able to tell.
Well, they can't use that either. Super slow-mo. They don't get to see it, but the ball does. It looks like it just changes direction, but you can't see what it hits to do that.
Well, at the very least, this is just, hey, I have to, if I'm Buck Showalter, I'm trying to do anything I can because that's how good Corey Kluber's been.
Well, of course.
So this is just good gamesmanship, if anything, on his part.
Well, he wants to argue that. The outcome would be that if they say it wasn't a foul ball that hit him, he gets first base.
Right. Worst case scenario, it's 0-1.
And they're saying the call on the field is no hit by pitch. So it's a strike.
What? Oh, right, yeah. Right, that's what I'm saying. Worst case scenario, it's 0-1. Buck's got nothing to lose here.
Well, he doesn't show anything, but he's walking right over to Showalter to explain. And now you can't
Buck
argue.
doesn't like it, whatever it is.
I know, but you can't argue anything that's.
We haven't heard anything from the baseball replay command center, so we have no idea
Jones
what they're
is still
telling
going
him.
to be in the batter's box.
Look at Buck. They're trying to tell him the explanation. He doesn't even want to look at the umpires.
Well, you got to get this game going. This
Let's
is
go,
ridiculous
boys.
now.
If you're not allowed to argue, why is this allowed to go on? Tell you what, before long, Terry Francona is going to be out here.
And I don't blame him, man. You're making your pitcher wait. Boy, I don't know what is taking so long.
And we're in, well, so-called communication with the replay command center, and yet there's been no communication from their end. Here comes Showalter again. Now what's going on? Mickey Callaway's livid now. He's up there saying, come on, you can't do this. Wow, I mean, Dana DeMuth just let Buck Showalter force Corey Kluber to stand out there for what? 7-8 minutes? And now Francona's coming out. Now they're saying that there was no challenge? Well, what in the heck just happened then? There was no official challenge. Well, why in the world did they go look at it then?
You tell me.
Well, that makes absolutely no sense.
If they went to look at it, then they don't know the rules.
After all of that, Adam Jones,
strike one,
is in the box with an 0-1 count. Buck Showalter had nothing to lose in that whole scenario and everything to gain.
Well, let's see if that momentum shift, or that the making Kluber wait had anything to do with it.
Fouled right back, and it's 0-2. Crowd getting a little ornery now, too. They didn't like all that shenanigans. The 0-2 pitch, up and away. And a ball and 2 strikes. Little tapper. Kluber off the mound. He'll flip it to first. 2 away. Time now for a Mazda game break. Once again, here's Al Pawlowski, and Adam Jones is.
Hey, Matt, let's go to Minnesota where the Twins were ahead 2-0 here. But Kansas City's Josh Willingham, the former Twin, cleans off the bases with a 3-run double to put KC ahead 3-2. It's now 5-3 Kansas City. They're in the 5th inning in Minnesota. Matt?
Adam Jones came close to getting himself tossed out of the game. He had something to say to first base umpire Ron Kulpa. Not sure what he would have been yelling at Kulpa about. It was a home plate umpire that made the call, wasn't it? On the original.
Yeah, it sure was.
In any event, there are 2 down. So what we've been told is that after they went to video replay, they determined the call was not challengeable since he offered at the pitch.
Then why did the home plate umpire and the crew chief go to the video?
I don't know. And there's a base hit up the middle by Nelson Cruz. And here comes Terry Francona. So that's going to be it for Corey Kluber. The most pitches he has thrown in a game this year. What an effort by Corey Kluber. 7 2/3. Shutout baseball. And a standing O from this crowd of over 27,000 tonight here at Progressive Field. And it's time now for our Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen as Brian Shaw is coming on now with 2 down and a runner at first in the 8th, and the Indians leading in 1-0.
Well, Corey Kluber's night is over. 7 2/3 innings, 5 hits, couple of walks, and 10 strikeouts for the 8th time this year. 10 strikeouts or more. Look at his last 5 starts, 45 strikeouts in 39 innings pitched and 1 earned run.
I could tell by Mickey's body language and facial expression he was still mad because of everything that took place there, forcing Kluber to have to stand out there on the mound while they were trying to figure out what was going on with the challenge.
Well, that was they didn't know what they were doing. They messed up.
Baltimore challenged a play that wasn't challengeable, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Well, now let's see if Brian Shaw can pick up where Kluber left off. Line drive base hit into right field by Delman Young. Nelson Cruz stops at second base. 2 on, 2 out.
Young's been swinging a good bat, and he's put some good swings on the ball. He got a pitch to his liking and takes it to right field. Gets it past Kipnis at second base, so with 2 outs, back-to-back singles. And that's going to give Hardy an opportunity.
Well, J.J. Hardy drew a walk his last time up. And we said before, he has been trouble for the Tribe. Inside, he missed ball 1. Swung out and missed it. A good slider down and away. Off the plate. Couldn't get him to bite. 2-1.
No, Hardy's swinging the bat much better than we saw him last time. He looks like he's picking the baseball up very well.
Now, he was 6 for 14 in the series earlier this year against the Indians. Out of play, and that evens the count of 2-2. Two on, 2 out. Tribe leading in 1-0 here in the 8th. As Brian Shaw is 1 strike away from getting out of the jam. Line to center, base hit, charging hard is Brantley. Here comes Cruz to the plate. He is safe. And the Orioles have tied the game on the only run allowed by Kluber tonight.
Well, Shaw comes in and gives a couple of base hits up, and that was a slider down and away and a pretty good swing by J.J. Hardy up the middle. That's going to tie the ball game up, and on no decision now for Corey Kluber.
And a quick exit for Brian Shaw. He does not record an out. He gives up 2 hits. And Terry Francona will go back to the bullpen. We're tied at 1 here in the 8th. Baltimore gets 3 consecutive singles with 2 outs here in the 8th inning. And now Cody Allen is coming on to try to keep it a tie game. He'll be facing Ryan Flaherty, who is 1 for 3 on the night. The go-ahead run, Delman Young is at second base. Cody Allen's 58th appearance on the year. Now, Baltimore did it the hard way. 3 consecutive singles, all with 2 outs when there was nobody on base.
Yeah. That's a tough way to go. But
first ball swinging, lifts one in the air, shallow left. And Dickerson makes the grab. But the damage is done, and Baltimore's tied the game at 1, middle of the 8th. Here at Progressive Field, we are tied 1-1. Both starters will not factor in the decision here tonight. Baltimore goes to their bullpen now for left-hander Andrew Miller, formerly with the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, he came over on the 31st of July, the trading deadline, for a left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez. And this guy, I mean, he throws mid-90s, he's about 6'7", a big guy that can get up, good slider. He's tough on left-handers.
Baltimore, by the way, Rick, has 4 left-handers in their bullpen.
So you would expect to see him every night. Mattis, McFarland, Britton, and, of course, Miller.
Jose Ramirez leading off for the Indians, 0 for 2 on the night. Wei-Yin Chen went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, walked 1, struck out 6. The only run allowed the solo homer by Zach Walters in the 5th inning. Wow. That was borderline at best. Andrew Miller is a former first-round pick of the Tigers back in 2006 out of North Carolina. He was the 6th overall selection by the Tigers after pitching for the Tar Heels. Chased one in the dirt. 1 away. In-game box score brought to you by Hyundai. Only run of the night for the Indians. The solo shot hit by Zach Walters back in the 5th. He also singled in the 7th. So Walters has half the Indians' hits tonight. Jason Kipnis has one of the Tribe's 4 knocks, and that came in the 3rd inning when he singled to left. Miller lays one in there for a strike. Former Orioles pitcher, Hall of Famer Jim Palmer was singing the praises before tonight's game to us about their pitching coach Dave Wallace, the job he's done, and Dom Cheedy, who spent years in the Indians organization as well. Dom is the bullpen coach, but he says they've done a great job with especially the young pitchers on this Orioles staff. There's Jim.
There's Jim. He still looks good, doesn't he? Still looks like he could pitch.
He does.
Still loves the game of baseball. Does a great job. Has been doing it for many, many years.
Now the 1-2. Kipnis pops one to center. In comes Jones, who glides over to make the catch. 2 down. Fox Sports Supports is proud to collaborate with Stand Up to Cancer, a groundbreaking initiative created to accelerate innovative cancer research that gets new therapies to patients quickly in order to save lives now. For more information, visit foxsportsupports.com. Mike Aviles, twice a strikeout victim, fly to right in the 6th inning. In the air, left field, over near the line, Cruz. 1, 2, 3 go the Indians. We'll go to the 9th, tied at 1. By Wayside Furniture. Enjoy Kluber. He was fun to watch tonight. Last 5 starts, 0.46 ERA. He was charged with 1 run tonight, but that run came home after he left the game with 2 outs in the 8th inning. Unfortunately, he gets a no decision. And the Indians didn't have much for him. They got 1 run for him, gave him the lead. But that 1 run, just not enough tonight. They'll need more than that if they want to win it. And here in the 9th, it'll be Caleb Joseph, Jonathan Scope, and Nick Markakis against Cody Allen. Cody Allen faced one batter to get the final out of that 8th inning. Good slider.
Send along a birthday wish to Francis Thice of Warren, turning 100 years old. Happy birthday, Francis.
Now the 0-2 pitch. Down low. Well, you know, we used to live in Warren.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. My dad had a job briefly in Warren for, was it Shaw Barton? Who'd you work for in Warren? Shaw Barton? Robert A. Sherman he worked for.
All right.
Took me to see a football game.
Do you remember Warren?
I was like,
as a kid?
3 or 4.
Okay.
I vaguely have vague memories of Warren, yeah.
I'll give you another year and it'll be gone. Or are you just joking here? You vaguely remember.
I remember the house we lived in. 2-2. Ball out of play. Then again, as my kids said to me the other day, they said, you know, I don't know if I remember certain things or if it's just looking at the pictures. I remember them because of the pictures. You know, some of the old photos. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That might be part of it, too. Now the 2-2. A little bit high. Full count. Three-two pitch. And it's low, ball 4. Leadoff walk here in the 9th. Going to get a pinch runner now for Joseph. David Lowe, the former Kansas City Royal, local young man.
Yes, indeed. He can run a little bit. He's stolen 7 out of 12 bases, been caught 5 times, so he's stolen 7.
Scope squares, bunts it hard. Santana on the hop goes to first, and they get there in the second, and they get the force. What a play by Santana. You know, he nearly caught that on the fly, and then he made a nifty grab on the short hop and whirled him through a strike to second base.
Well, I'll tell you, that was an aggressive play there by Santana, but the ball was bunted so hard. Gets by him, it might have been a double. But he gets it to Ramirez, and Lowe took off. And you know what? He made it close enough with that ball almost being caught in the air. That's a tough one to read as a base runner, but he took off anyway, so they get the lead runner.
Yeah, on that play, if you're Lowe, you almost just have to go. Scopes it first now for Markakis. Markakis having a pretty solid year, as seems to be the usual. He has a hit and a walk tonight. but he already has 427 career multi-hit games. He recently passed Brady Anderson for 4th place on Baltimore's all-time list in that category. Now, just in case you're wondering, he's got a long way to go to move up the ladder. Eddie Murray's ahead of him with 596. Then a guy named Brooks Robinson with 745. And Cal Ripken, the all-time leader at 845 multi-hit games. Cody Allen's 2-1 pitch, fouled right back. Kansas City leads Minnesota 5-3 in the 6th inning at Target Field in Minneapolis. Seattle over Detroit 7-2. They're in the 9th in Detroit. 1-1 here in the 9th inning. 1 on, 1 out. As Cody Allen tries to take care of Nick Markakis, but boy, his bats seem like they've been lasting an eternity. Last couple of times up. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. Allen gets his first strikeout tonight. 2 down in the 9th.
Well, he had to throw that pitch to get this strikeout here of Markakis because it's a good curveball. He's left a couple upstairs and he's been trying to throw him too hard. He just stayed back, trusted his stuff, and got him to chase a pitch out of the zone, and that's tough to do with Markakis. So he gets out number 2.
Chris Davis has already struck out 4 times tonight. Lifts one high and foul out of play to the left. .21 homers, 57 driven in for Davis. But 145 strikeouts. Down low. The next closest man to Davis is Mike Trout of the Angels with 130 strikeouts. And the 1-1 missed in off the plate. Lifted high in the air. Shallow left, Dickerson in. Calls for it, makes the catch, and will go to the bottom of the 9th. Tied at 1. Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Bottom of the ninth inning. Tribe will be sending their 3, 4, and 5 hitters to the plate against Andrew Miller, who worked a scoreless 8th inning. Nick Hundley in the ball game now, taking over behind the plate for Caleb Joseph after he was lifted for a pinch runner. Brantley will lead it off, and he is 0 for 3 on the night. In fact, the 3, 4, 5 hitters tonight, 0 for 8 with a walk. Brantley lifts it out of play. Baltimore has left 10 men on base tonight. The Indians have stranded just 4. Oh, and 2 the count. Fouled right back, and the count stays 0 and 2. A lot of strikes for Andrew Miller.
Yeah, he's coming out throwing a boatload, 13 of 15.
He didn't get that one where he wanted it, but all Brantley could do is foul it back. Rolled up the middle towards second base, and Jonathan Scope throws out Brantley. 1 away. Now Buck Showalter coming out, might make a pitching change here. You got a switch hitter in Santana, right-handed bat Gomes after him. And that will be it. Showalter will ask for the baseball timeout here in the bottom of the ninth, tied at 1. Carlos Santana will be the batter as Darren O'Day comes on. Right-handed side armor. '52nd appearance this season. What a year he's
had.
had.
Look at that year, no doubt about it. A 1.01 ERA. Opponents hitting just 178. You know, different angle, different arm angle. It gives you different looks, and that's the one thing that Baltimore bullpen has. That's why that trade of getting Miller gives them another left-hander. 4 left-handers coming out of that bullpen. They can match up from the right side. It's
and even though Santana bats 50 points higher from the other side of the plate, this is where all his power is on this side. 15 homers.
You know, I'm banking that they feel O'Day, you know, that
power sinker going away. He won't be able to pull
down
it.
and away. You're going to have to beat him going the other way. He's given up 3 home runs. That's it. Then that little backdoor slider. It's tough to pull that one. So if you beat him, he's going to make you beat you to left center field, and it's tough to hit that pitch out of there. And they know Santana's a pull hitter, as you can look at the shift.
Hits one into the shift, and it eats up Jonathan Scope. Santana, big turn, but he'll hold with a 1-out single. So the winning run is aboard here in the bottom of the 9th with a 1-out.
Tough to make a backhanded play when you're in right field, and you're an infielder. I mean, even if he catches that ball, there's Santana running. I was thinking hopefully he would have went to second base. Didn't see him going down that line. That ball jumps up and gets on the heel of his glove.
Now Yan Gomes will be the batter. We got a ball that just got loose and almost hit Adam Jones, the center fielder, as it came loose out of the Indians' bullpen. That's got to be a little disconcerting when you're standing in center field. You see a ball rolling through your feet.
How many times have we seen that in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
We're seeing balls flying out of the bullpen. Well, there'll be new configuration next year when we get back.
Right.
For bullpens. They'll be in right center field. They'll be
side to side.
Yeah.
Yan Gomes waves at one. Yeah, the way both bullpens are configured now, they pitch toward the field.
Right.
In the new configuration, they'll pitch side to side.
Right.
So hopefully that won't be an issue in the future.
They're going north and south.
Yan Gomes is 0 for 3 on the night. Hit one the deep right field that was caught back in the 4th inning. Straighten him up inside, 1-1. Gomes does a pretty good job of hitting the ball inside out, which against O'Day could be very beneficial for him here.
I agree, Matt. It's the right inside out, the way you want to take it, the right approach. It keeps him on that big slow slider going down and away. Not to say you can't swing and miss when he throws it, but you take that ball on the inside part of the plate for the most part, and you can look away. And Gomes can do that. Very good at it.
Chris Dickerson in the on-deck circle. So this might be the only batter that, or this might be after he got faced Santana. This might be it, though, for O'Day.
That's what I was figuring.
With all those left-handers that Buck has in his bullpen. But we shall see. Right back up the middle. It hits in and out of the glove of O'Day, but he's able to recover and retire Gomes. 2 down.
Boy, you can't do much better if you're Gomes. That ball, I don't know if it hit in his glove or got him on the wrist. Let's take a look. I mean, there's that slider going away. Yeah, it hit him in the glove. He thought he was going to catch it. If he does, it's probably a double play.
Yeah.
But he stayed with it. He found it after it got away from him. And gets the out at first. There's the winning run, though, in scoring position at second base.
Now we're going to get a pinch hitter, Lonnie Chisenhall. We'll see, does Buck make a counter move? Not sure if there was anybody even up in the Baltimore bullpen. So it's O'Day versus Chisenhall with a game on the line. And they'll just walk Chisenhall now and face the switch hitter Walters. Lonnie's career numbers against O'Day, 2 for 3 with a home run.
Well, they know the numbers. He has his matchup he wants, or there would have been another left-hander lurking.
Lonnie discards the bat. He heads to first. And up comes Zach Walters. Can he deliver a game-winning knock for the second time in 3 games? A walk-off homer in game 1 of that doubleheader. He had a chance to do it again in the nightcap, but was unable to deliver. Now he'll get a chance here in the bottom of the 9th tonight. A base hit could win it. Santana, the runner at second. Not a guarantee, but with 2 outs, he should get a great jump if Walters can deliver a knock here. Swing and a foul back. Oh, baby.
Nice rip. You know, you look at the arms out there. Jones good in center. Markakis good in right. And Cruz's arm plays better in left than it does in right. But you're going to send him no matter what. Anything that hits the outfield grass, you're going to. Mike Sarabal will be waving him home. 8 walk-off wins for the Indians this year.
He had one to hit, and I mean, just missed it. Ripped. Foul. Oh, did he bullet that thing down the line.
Just a little bit out in front here, but he's had 2 pretty good rips on the first 2 pitches here by O'Day. Down in the count 0-2. He was down in the count 0-2 when he hit his home run. Came back and worked his way into the at-bat. I think that oblique's feeling fine.
I think so. Well, all the damage he did earlier in the night was from the other side of the plate as a right-handed hitter. So he shows good pop from both sides of the plate. Really swings it aggressively. Down on the count now, 0-2. O'Day turns, but nothing doing at second as Santana was back easily.
It's the time to try it. 0-2 count. Go ahead, and it's like a timing play. If that guy's thinking about getting a jump out there, it's not a bad time to try it. Let's put it that way. You're looking for that out before you have to make another pitch.
Two on, 2 out. Bottom of the 9th, tied at 1. 0-2 pitch to Zach Walters. Another good rip, and he fouled it straight back.
Tell you what, he's right on him. He is picking it up well, I will say that.
Indians looking for some ninth inning magic right here. The 0-2. Another foul back. No, O'Day has been unable to get one by Walters in this at bat.
Well, so far tonight, Zach Walters has seen 15 pitches, and he's swung 11 times. Would you call that aggressive?
I think the only one he's missed was that changeup.
Yeah.
He elevated it and strikes him out to end the inning. We'll go to extras. Tied at 1. Presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky all season long. Jack Link's, feed your wild side. We go on to the 10th inning. Second straight game, the Indians will play extras. And here in the 10th, Scott Atchison comes on for Cleveland.
It'll be the, as you look at the numbers for Scott, it'll be the 14th extra inning game for the Indians. They are 7-6. Baltimore has played 16. Yeah, they're looking at number 17. They are 12-4 in extra innings. Chisenhall stays in the game, will go to third base. Aviles will move from third to left field.
Adam Jones 0 for 4 on the night. Upstairs, ball 1. Three for 8 with a strikeout for Jones in his career against Scott Atchison. Lifts one in the air to right field. Tyler Holt makes the catch, one away. Nelson Cruz got a bat here. He is 1 for 4 on the night. Singled and scored the only Baltimore run in the 8th inning. Cruz singled up the middle with 2 outs in the 8th inning off Corey Kluber, and that was the last batter Kluber faced. He came out of the game. Brian Shaw came in and gave up back-to-back singles that led to Baltimore's only run. Swing and a miss. He's now hit in 7 straight games. He had a 12-game streak earlier this year. Fans voted him the starting DH for the All-Star game, which shows you all is forgiven apparently in the PED scandal that he was caught up in.
Well, yeah. When you think about it, it's forgiven. They served their suspensions last year. Time served.
Kipnis throws him out. 2 down. And it brings up Delman Young. Delman Young, as you have noted and we have seen, a notorious first ball aggressive swinger. That first pitch, though, is a breaking ball in the dirt. Young snapped an 0 for 12 slump with a base hit in the 8th inning. It was really a good piece of hitting. He went the other way. Santana makes the catch. Orioles go quickly here in the 10th. Scott Atchison sets him down. 1-2-3. Tenth. Tyler Holt, Jose Ramirez, Jason Kipnis due up for Cleveland. Two players left on the Indians bench at this point. Backup catcher Roberto Perez and Michael Bourne, who was just activated earlier this afternoon from the disabled list. Tyler Holt 1 for 3, a bunt single back in the 3rd. There's Michael Bourne. I'm not sure Terry Francona would be comfortable using Bourne as a late inning replacement in his first game off the DL from a hamstring injury.
I would have thought if he's eligible to play, I thought he would have started tonight. That's why it'll be in case of an emergency late in the game, I would think.
Holt takes a strike. Darren O'Day gave up a hit and intentionally walked a batter, but got a strikeout to end the bottom of the 9th, but not without some drama. Zach Walters put up a heck of an at-bat before he ultimately went down swinging. Swung on and missed 1-2. Good change of pace by O'Day. Final in Detroit. Mariners beat the Tigers 7-2. Tampa Bay shut out the Yankees. New York has now lost 5 in a row. Holt, liner to center. Jones makes a catch. Boy, and there another terrific play by Adam Jones in center field.
Yeah, he's a good center fielder, and he never leaves. He didn't leave his feet, figuring I can catch that on the backhand side, and that's saying something. He had a beat on it. A lot of times you'll see guys take off and dive after it. He did. He stayed on his feet and flips it in when he's done, right at the last step. So he had a pretty good idea he was going to be able to get there.
How'd that trade work out for Baltimore?
Pretty good.
Eric Bedard, never to be heard from again.
Well, yeah, he's been around every other team.
Adam Jones and Chris Tillman. Tillman's had a terrific year, 9-5, a 3.68 ERA. And Jones, top-notch center fielder.
Well, all-star, yeah, for the last few years. So.
Out of play, it's 0-2. Ramirez strikes out, 2 away. Top of the order. Here comes Jason Kipnis, and we'll get a pitching change. Buck Showalter will go to one of his plethora of lefties out of the bullpen. When we come back, tied at 1, bottom of the 10th. On the year, 52nd appearance, 3.92 ERA and 41 on the third. He has walked 16, struck out 42. And he'll be facing Jason Kipnis, who is 1 for 4 on the night. He singled back in the third inning. Ball one to Jason Kipnis. High fly ball left field. Cruz under it. Indians go 1-2-3. We'll go to the 11th. Tied at 1.
Turkey all season long. Jack Lanks feeds your wild side.
One here in the 11th. Scott Atchison worked a 1-2-3 10th inning. And he'll stay on now to pitch here at inning number 11. He's got the 6, 7, and 8 hitters due up for Baltimore. J.J. Hardy, Ryan Flaherty, and then Nick Hundley. Hardy has 2 hits, including the only run batted in tonight for Baltimore.
He had a pretty good pitch down and away up the middle to score that run to tie the game back in the 8th inning. 2 outs, Baltimore. 3 straight hits to tie the ball game.
Hit on the ground to Kipnis. And the Tribe's second baseman throws him out, 1 away. Ryan Flaherty, base hit back in the 3rd inning, 1 for 4 on the night. Baltimore's record against everybody outside the American League Central Division this year is 60-36. But against the AL Central, they're just 9-14. Fouled back. Of course, the Indians are coming off their series win in New York in terms of Eastern Division teams. On the year, the Tribe has gone 15-12 against the AL East. Their only losing record is against Toronto, who beat them 4 out of 6 this year. Flaherty goes down swinging. 2 down. Boy, Scott Atchison, another strong outing.
Yeah, he goes out there, just continues to deal. He has been really a very important piece to that bullpen this year. They've had fun with him. They've joked with him. But I'll tell you what, every time he goes out there, it's an important role, isn't it? And it's been in different roles.
Nick Hundley's first at bat of the night. He cuts and misses. Santana grabs it. And the Orioles go 1-2-3. 6 times this year, the Indians have walked off a game with a home run. Can they do it again? We'll find out coming up next. Now, Mike Aviles, Michael Brantley, Carlos Santana coming up for Cleveland. Brian Mattis, the left-hander, stays on for Baltimore. Fastball strike outside corner. Missed away, evens the count.
It's only the third pitch tonight that Baltimore has thrown out of the strike zone to Aviles on 16 pitches.
Fastball, got it by him, 1-2. Foul to right back. Aviles with a drive to deep left field. Gone to the home run porch. Let the fireworks show begin. Mike Aviles with his 4th home run of the year. It's a walk-off winner for the Tribe. Their 9th walk-off win of the season, 7th via the home run.
That's incredible, isn't it? It's unbelievable how they win games here at home.
The Indians go to 36-23 on the year here at Progressive Field. The home field magic has worked for this team all season long. It pushes them up over the 500 mark at 61-60. Baltimore falls to 69-51. As the Indians take the series opener from the Birds by a final score of 2-1, and it's time for our key play of the game. Brought to you by Key Bank.
Well, let's just take a replay.